We had a little technical audio problem that we had to sort out, but we've got it sorted out. Say hello, Clive.
Hello, Clive.
There you go. And let me make this full screen because that will be
no problem.
That will be cooler. We want the cool factor going on here. And
you may get off.
And no, we need you. That's what adds the cool factor. Now I got to refresh and see if I can get the comments here on my iPad like I had the other day.
So far, we've got Blue Shirt Buddha joining us. Hello, Craig and everyone. Turkey Vulture. Hey, Blue Shirt. David Williams. No video coming through as of yet.
Some of these folks come in. Well, should have it now. Recheck, folks. Make sure you got video now.
Brian LP.
Clive should be on the screen now.
Anthony Arpinez is saying hello to everyone.
All right.
Now, Ray Maduro is saying good afternoon.
And I'm switching back to me real quick, and I'm just going to give you all an overview of what we're going to talk about briefly. Clive is going to give us an update on his sale. And then we are also going to talk about a video that the Watchbox folks just released talking about the Kermit and the Batman. I don't know how many of you all have seen that, but they were talking once again about the sky-high prices that these are selling for. Like $13,000 was a number that was thrown around, and that they're both about the same price range. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, anything else that you all want to talk about. So first, let's get an update from Clive on the watch sale, the famous Rolex watch sale. And it looks like you've got 2 watches on today?
No, just one.
Okay, so you had the Apple Watch on earlier.
That's right, I did.
You did a switcheroony. All right, so what are you wearing now? Show us that one. Show us that one again that you got on now. Like a Jubilee bracelet. Okay, so that's an older GMT, correct?
Right.
What year would you say that is?
Oh, it's in 1999.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Now, do you know how thick that case is on that? Is it 12 or 12.5 mils?
I think it's 12.5, but it's fairly splendid. I mean, it's pretty slender.
Yeah, those are good all-arounder.
Now, a couple of things about them. This is the 16710. And one of the nice things about this particular reference is that Rolex, their quality standards weren't quite up to where they are now, or at least their security standards. So I managed to go down to Dallas and pick this up for basically a quick sale from a guy who's wanting to get into a Rose Gold Yachtmaster 2.
Wait a minute now. When did you pick this up?
No, I picked it up this summer.
Okay. All right.
But one of the things about this particular reference, the 16710, is Rolex didn't have it tightened down as much as the current references. So this is the bezel.
What do you mean by tightened down?
This is the bezel it originally came with.
Okay.
That is a black and red. That's a Coke.
Yeah.
This is a box from Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
So, and besides that, I've also got the black bezel for it as well, or bezel insert.
So when you say weren't as tightened down, you could get extra parts back then. Is that what you're saying?
Well, not only that, you could get different color ones because Rolex really couldn't specifically say when it left the factory if it left as a Coke, as a Pepsi, or as a black.
Because the model number was the same, I guess you're saying. Right. Okay. And they're not now. Is that the case?
They're correct. BLNR is the Batman.
Okay.
BLRO is the Pepsi, and BL, I think, is the black. The current.
By the way, folks in the comments said that I should get another 9F, but this stunner that I have on my wrist right now, this is sufficing as far as 9Fs go. It is getting the job done. Look at that puppy. And these cuffs are particularly tight, snug on my 7 1/4 to 7.5 inch wrist. But this watch handles it with aplomb, right? So
Right.
what, are you going to sell this watch? Is that why you're showing this watch off?
No, actually, the thing is, I was messing around. I was looking at a couple of watch sellers after, used ones, and they were talking about a Rolex a Pepsi, and they're asking $16,000 for it.
Okay.
And
Now that's
thinking,
the current generation Pepsi, right?
No.
So this is the one like you have right there?
Yeah, and it's called, and they basically said error dial. Okay, fascinated a little bit, aren't you? Yeah, I was on an emotional roller coaster because then I was thinking, and here's the reason why it's called an error dial. Well, I've got the GMT hand in the way right now, but where it says GMT Master 2, it should be the 2 should be in Roman numerals. Basically, two horizontal lines with a vertical line.
Yeah.
This one does not have Roman numerals; it just has 2 sticks. 2 straight lines.
So you think yours is an error dial too?
An error dial, or actually commonly known as a stick dial.
So you think they actually produced some that way?
It's documented that they have.
But they're rare.
Well, we don't know because it's not like Rolex tells us anything.
So you think yours is super valuable, that watch that you have on your wrist right now?
It may be. It may be.
But now that we know all of that, are you still willing to give the viewers an inside track on a flyover price exclusive today?
For this one, I don't know. It's going to be, this one might be a little bit hard to give up. Now, as of the 4 I put on for not quite a week ago on New Year's.
Yes.
I only have 1 left, and I think it's about to go.
Now, which one is that's left?
The ceramic no date Submariner.
Okay. Well, now this goes to the topic of the show, and this is the caution that I'm trying to throw everybody's way here with this show. Is I think it is smart to do what Clive is doing, and that is get good buys on these watches. Don't feed into these shows like the one I watched yesterday where they're talking these astronomical prices on these watches. It's not so easy for you to get that kind of money for your watch. They might occasionally sell a watch for that big number, 13,500 or whatever the big number was they threw out. They might get a retail buyer to pay that occasionally. But I did a little noodling around Chrono 24, and there are a bunch of watches on there that I looked at a couple months ago that are still on there for sale, that I tagged in my favorites. And so this is telling me that it's not necessarily easy to move these watches. Now, Clive is pricing his watches aggressively, and he's moved some watches. But the no-date sub, as of this moment...
This is my aggressive watch selling face.
That's right. The no-date sub, as of right this moment, it has still not moved. Now, it probably will, but still, that's been some time has gone by, and that watch is priced aggressively, I think, and it's still in his possession. So, and we've let some people know about it. It's not like it's a secret. We've let some people know about it. Have you talked about it on some other shows too?
Yeah, well, I talked about it on my show as well. It's been referred to. I've also got a Facebook group. Now, actually...
What about on Paul's show? Did you talk about it there?
I haven't done anything on Paul's show.
Okay.
I think he mentioned it, but
okay.
keep in mind, Paul's show is all about Paul.
Gotcha. But in any event, it's out there. It's out there.
I'm not saying that he's a narcissistic, lazy, horned idiot or anything. I'm not saying that.
Not officially on this show. You wouldn't do that. But here's the thing. So all I'm saying is, if you absolutely want one of those watches, if it's your dream watch and it's not going to affect your world financially, heck, go out and spend $13,000 and buy the watch. But don't. And here comes the Billy Goat. I think it's smarter to do the way Clive has been doing and buy these watches right. If you want to go through watches, if it's your thing, if this is your hobby and you want to play around with these watches and they're fun and all this, I get it. I get all that, right? I don't do it personally, but I get it. But still, I think, wouldn't it be more fun if you guys got the watches smart and you got a good deal on them? And they say in real estate, you make the money on the buy. That's where you make your money in real estate. And it should be the same thing on these watches. Be patient. Defer gratification. Wait until the deal comes along on both the buy side and the sell side. The beauty of Clive's situation is he's not pressed, okay? He can buy the watches right, and then he can enjoy them, and when the time comes along that he can move the watch for a fair price and get out of it okay and still pass on a decent price to whoever's buying it, everybody wins here. So I think that's the sensible way to approach all of this. What do you think, Clive?
Well, exactly. I mean, and again, it's classic Archie luxury. Before he went off on his tangents and started buying IWC and Panerai and Tissot Horning, and these other mid-tier brands, it was buy Rolex, buy right, buy used steel sports stunners, and haggle like a bitch.
Yeah, and also here's the other thing, is you can buy some of these sleeper watches that are soft, but that are cool watches. Like we've talked about the Turnograph, we've talked about the Oyster Perpetual Date, like your gold Oyster Date, or I think it's an Oyster Perpetual Date.
No, it's just an Oyster Perpetual.
I'm sorry, I meant to say Oyster Perpetual. We've talked about some of these watches that are a little bit on the soft side. I would say they're just a realistically priced side. and so, think about making a move on some of those watches that are enjoyable watches to wear. They're fun watches to own. And yet you can get in them at a decent price. And so it's probably going to be a little bit easier when the time comes to get out of them. Maybe not, but in any event, you've spent less money. Okay, money is a real thing. So that's all we're saying with this discussion. What do you got there?
Nothing.
So what else are you going to put on the market?
Well, like I said, I think the Rolex Sub No Date. I had someone was going to look at it today, but unfortunately, he's a general manager at a new car dealership, so he couldn't. Yeah,
Saturdays. Saturdays are hectic days. So, folks, anybody watching this live, if you want to PayPal friends and family and snag this thing before this car salesman gets it, car salesman, he doesn't need another Rolex, for gosh sakes. You guys go ahead and buy it and enjoy this thing. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the spring driver. There's the spring driver. And I
don't know.
Clive probably can't see that unless he looks at the actual stream. But I'll tell you what, that is a stunning shot right there. I got the lighting just right on that. I got the focus just right on that. The framing just right on that. And look at that second hand just march right around. And here's the thing, I had this Yamoke put another comment on one of my videos. Oh, it's just a Seiko. Why would you buy a Seiko? Why would you spend that kind of money for a Seiko? And I told him, I said, here's the deal, guy. I just wanted a great watch. And that's what I got. I actually wear the watch. I wanted a great watch, and this is what I got. And here's I want the watch to feel heavy on my. I tried on a Snowflake, and it was lightweight, so it feels cheap. It reminds me of something that's cheap. I'll tell you what, I wear this Grand Seiko Diver every day, and nothing feels cheap about it. I mean, it feels solid as a freaking rock. Yes, it's a little bit lighter weight than a steel watch, but it feels rock solid to me, and it's holding up great. Unlike a lot of titanium that does scratch easily and so on, this titanium's holding up great. So, and Clive is showing a stunner there. It's a little bit out of focus, but we'll still look at it. So, here's the thing with these watches, folks. You're used to looking at these now it's in better focus. Yeah, you're used to looking at these watches on a website where it's full frame, macro shot, just showing the face all blown up, and you're not looking at real world use. You're not, until you get these things on your wrist and you actually wear them and enjoy them, you don't. Oh, there you go. There you go. They can take it. Come on, they can take it.
Oh, I know. But still, it's just like shit.
Little drop here and there on live TV. But look at that thing. That's a gorgeous watch that you could wear and enjoy. Now, unfortunately, it's all of a sudden these things are super rare and it's going to go for a lot of money. But how about a flyover price? Can we tempt you on a flyover price on that watch here right now?
No, I'd have to. Sorry, I've wanted a Pepsi for a while, so I've got to. Now here's also one. Okay. By the way, if you're just tuning in and you're seeing me, you're not coming out of a blackout, but this is the Clive. This is the CraigShipp live stream. There we go. Now, okay. Now the Seiko, by the way, the Seiko was one of the first chronographs ever made. It's also called a Seiko Pogue. You're familiar with that story?
Well, they used to have them tested, and then they stopped having them tested, right?
Now, Colonel David Pogue was Air Force colonel, and he was slated to be on the last of the Apollo missions, and they cut him off the Apollo program because of budget cutbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, okay, well, Colonel, we'll just stick you on Skylab, and you'll spend a lot more time in low Earth orbit than the Apollo guys ever will. And he was waiting to get, of course, this Omega Speedmaster Professional is the official moon watch, and he had to do all these things involving very precise timing with tasks, but they didn't give him the moon watch until the last minute. So he went to the post exchange, and he got an Omega he got a Seiko chronograph, automatic one.
Okay.
And then they handed him the Omega right before he literally got on the Saturn rocket to go up to Skylab. What he did is he was used to the Seiko, so he kind of slipped that in a flight suit and took that up with him, and actually used that throughout his Skylab mission. So it's the official unauthorized rogue space watch.
Cool. Well, but they used to have some of their watches tested, right, by the Swiss, and then they stopped doing that, right?
Right. But also, let me also point out one thing. Every watch snob needs at least one Seiko, kind of like how every racist needs at least one black friend.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. You only really want, and I'm going to talk about a Grand Seiko, you only really want a Grand Seiko if you want something just really incredible. If you want something a few notches up from the average watch, then you're going to go with a Grand Seiko. If you want the best quartz movement, you're going to get something with the 9F, like this gold stunner right here. If you want something really unusual and extreme, you want the spring drive, which is on the screen right now with that second hand just smoothing right around. And here's the thing, that thing's going to run for decades. Take my word for it, and I'll keep you posted on it. And let me tell you something. If this watch hiccups, you guys will be the first to know. If this watch gives trouble,
let me clog out real quick.
Yeah,
sorry,
no worries. If this watch fails me, if this watch gives any kind of trouble whatsoever, you will be the first to hear it. You will hear it here. If there are any hiccups whatsoever, first of all, I'll get rid of the watch. So I won't even have the watch anymore because I don't put up with hiccups. All my Rolexes over the years, if they would have hiccuped, they were gone. And I did get rid of a couple of Rolexes that hiccuped. So I don't put up with it. So you will know, you'll be the first to know if I get rid of this watch. Just like I got rid of the Snowflake because it doesn't have the micro adjustments and because there's no lume on the hands and because it was really redundant. I really didn't need it now that I have the dress watch. So you guys will be the first to know. Now, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and cut back to me, and I'm going to go over the comments here. You get caught up a little bit. Let's see. Good evening from Denmark. Clive's price is very reasonable. Good morning from Australia. Okay. I'll never sell my 214270. That's from Turkey Vulture. Clive needs a GS from Richard. Clive's Rolex list is impressive. There you go. Clive needs a Diamond Daytona. I think David Zimmerman wears a Pepsi. Okay, so there, I'm kind of caught up on those. So let me go down here to the bottom. Clive's prices are very reasonable. I got my no-date sub within 3 months in the UK. Good evening from Denmark. The smart way to buy a GS. The smart way is to buy GS and Bitcoin with the rest of the money, or buy Bitcoin and wait until 2024 and get even more watches. Heck yeah. That would be a good move. 7K is a lot of money for anyone for a steel watch. Yeah, I would say so. I wouldn't want to spend more than $5,000 for a steel watch, personally. Watches are not an investment unless you work in watch selling, in which case they're inventory. I would call it inventory as opposed to investment. Agree with Craig about buying right. Bought a Rolex no-date sub 114060 for $6K. I looked for a long time before buying it, but it was worth it to find the right deal. Makes the watch much sweeter. Heck yeah. Maybe you can share in the comments how you pulled off that deal and when. Come on, Clive, what did you have there? Okay, yesterday on the Watch Studios, they mentioned Grand Seiko as one of the brands to watch in 2019. I think it is. Absolutely. I'm super pleased with my two Grand Seikos. I really am. And I'm not easy to please. I don't put up with much with watches. If they give trouble, they're goners, man. Oh no, Clive, you scratched your investment purchase. That was after the drop. All watches are much different on the wrist, absolutely. And also day in and day out use, actually using the watches. That's what I buy mine for. I mean, if you just buy it to have it sitting around and occasionally look at it, then all this is a moot point, right? But if you buy it to actually wear it, then how it functions in everyday use is I think, is the thing. How easy it is to read, how comfortable it is on wrist, all of these factors. I'm going through the comments here real quick, Clive.
Sorry, I was getting a call from another watch guy with another watch channel, and we're kind of going over. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's my horologe. It's not a hobro, but he's more of a homo.
If he wants to come in, you can give him the link. He can come in. If you want him to bring him in.
No, he's haggling. He is haggling.
Okay.
He is. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later on.
Okay. So let me go through the rest of these comments real quick. You can buy 2 of the old Pepsi for the price of a new Pepsi. That's where the smart money goes.
Stick dial. Look for the stick dial. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Number 1. Like I said, so GMT Master 2. Now, if they say Aero dial, that means they've got it priced way too aggressively. You know, one guy in Georgia was trying to sell this for like almost $16,000. You know, that guy can go get stuffed.
Yeah, and if he finds a sucker and gets it sold for that, more power to him, but it's going to take a sucker.
Well, now, if they say stick dial, it's a little bit of a premium, okay?
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about selling one, make damn sure it's not a stick dial. Also, if you're looking at a guy and if you're getting from an individual or a watch shop or a pawn shop or whatever, and they don't say stick, if it has the if it doesn't have the Roman numerals,
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get it.
Well, there you go. Okay, let me go through the rest of these real quickly to get caught up. Who is Patherico's business partner? A joke? I don't know what that's all about. Don't sell that Pepsi, Clive. It's a stunner. When the USA went to the moon, maybe. So Lawrence says they didn't go. Okay. Seiko and Pepsi's meal deals. Okay. I would sell the Omega moon watches before I would sell the Rolex GMT Coke. Absolutely. I would sell the moon watches. Craig, did you see Tim's face-off between the new Omega Seamaster 300 and the Date Sub? His choice between the two was very noteworthy. I think I did see it, but I don't remember what his final choice was. I like his. I like everything Tim does, and he will slip in. You'll kind of get he'll give you some tells here and there. He won't come out and say a watch is ugly, but like he'll be showing a particular Rolex and he'll be talking about how the shape of the case is so nice and so on, like on a Datejust or something, and he'll say that it's not as like harsh as the modern diver. So he'll give you some tells that if you pay attention, you'll realize he's giving you some hints there. But let me go on here. Clive needs a GS Snowflake. Greetings, Craig. Sharp jacket. It's an oldie but a goodie. All cashmere. It is comfortable.
I was thinking it looked cashmere.
Craig, can you touch on the Grand Seiko black ceramic chronograph? I recently purchased one and ended up selling my 3 Pateks and now use this as my only watch. Grand Seiko ceramic chronograph. Okay, I've seen the chronographs. I didn't know they had ceramic. And I have not really held them and played with them. The thing about the chronograph on the Grand Seikos is they are a little bit on the thick side. They're a fantastic watch, and it's an amazing movement. It is the spring drive, if it's one I'm thinking about. And it is just an amazing watch. It comes in titanium as well. But for my use case, I think it's a little bit on the thick side. Where's the Pontiff? Somebody says haggling. I don't know if it's accurate, but it seems to me I've had it for over 1 month. It's only running 1 second fast. Yeah, you're going to have it for more than 1 month to know. These spring drives can be very accurate. They can be. I've had 2 snowflakes. One of them was more accurate than the other, so they're not always the same. The most accurate spring drive I have is the Diver by far, which I got lucky on that because that's the one I really wanted and I'm going to keep. So that's the one that ended up just being ridiculously accurate. I think it's within a second after like 3 or 4 months. That's insane. I really like what Omega are doing these days. Well, next Wednesday, I think we're having the show with Steve. I think it's on Wednesday. Stay tuned to this channel. Looking forward to the next week's show with Steve. Well, there you go. There's a mention of it. I sold the 3 Patek watches, put the money in the S&P 500, and have been collecting dividends and interest ever since. Yeah, but the stock market has been down here recently. Hopefully it'll recover and get back in shape. Fortunately, Bitcoin's up lately to compensate. I like to see a comparison between the new Seamaster 300 and the GS Titan. GS Titan. It's hard to compare anything to the GS Titan, though, Brian. GS ceramic chronos are two-tone. Oh, okay, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, that thing is wild. Absolutely wild. The GS spring drive ceramic chrono, titanium with replaceable bolted-on ceramic plated armor. Yeah, and I thought that it was kind of ugly, but I saw one in person, and it actually looked pretty good. Again, not my cup of tea, but it's living. I bought my 114060 no date about 2 years ago. They have shot up since. It has box and papers. The seller wanted to get a Submariner date and wanted to move this one fast. He asked $6,500 and took $6K. So back porch living is in one for $6,000. Good move. Good move. Okay, Clive, bring us up to date.
Up to date on what?
I don't know. You said there was something you were going to tell us about haggling or something.
No, and
About that
again,
call?
I was actually. Oh, okay. Well, that's actually. I'm not going to blow. You know, I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to say. Yeah, he's got a good lead on something, and he's looking at. Well, I'm not going to say what kind of watch it is. But yeah, there have
So
been
he's
times
trying to
where
make a deal right now on something, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Good. Is he going to report to you if he's successful?
Yeah, actually, I will also send him a link so he'll come on.
Yeah, let him know we want to report on that if he's successful.
Unfortunately, it's not a Grand Seiko.
Well, you don't really have to negotiate a big deal on those. You can get a deal anyway. That's the beauty of a Grand Seiko. I went on eBay yesterday, just noodling around, just searched Grand Seiko and just noodling around. And there's some nice watches on there. There's one of these. Let's take another look at this diver, this stunner. There's one of these for I think around 5,800 or offer, titanium, 2017 or newer. So it's got the new dial with the GS Grand Seiko at the top. It's the same watch I have. And there's one for 5,800 or offer, which is not bad. And I'm not going to say what I paid for mine, but I did pay less than that because I had cash money and I did haggle. But I got a real good deal on mine. These are $7,100 list price. But yeah, there's one right there that you can make an offer and buy, and by all accounts, it's like new. So yeah, these watches can be bought right. That's the beauty of the Grand Seiko, and people knock them for that. Well, they don't hold their value. And all. To me, that's a good thing. If I can buy the watch for a good deal, I'm a happy camper. You know.
Okay, but yeah. On the other hand, that's if you know what you're doing. I mean, see, in a lot of ways, I've always considered Rolex to be almost the kiddie pool.
Well, you're smart in that you know the market and you're getting deals, and like you say, you know what you're doing. But here's the thing with, and I wish these headphones were more comfortable. I'm going to get another pair that are more comfortable, I think. But see, I only have to wear them when I'm listening to you, because if I wasn't listening to you, I wouldn't have to be wearing them. So just so you know, I'm going through this pain of wearing headphones because you're on the show. But I do that. I do that for my VIP guests. But anyway, with the Grand Seikos, the beauty of it is now you are taking a risk, obviously, if you buy anything used. Let's preface by saying that. But if you buy it from a relatively trusted eBay seller, and a lot of those they have the buyer protection in place, so that you're not going to get scammed. If they send you the wrong thing or whatever, you just rescind the deal and go on about your business. But there are a lot of them on there and a lot of deals, especially if you want a 9F, if you want one of the quartz ones. I mean, you can get a nice watch for $1,500. I mean, a nice watch. So I think that's really good. And I think that should be touted as a real benefit. I don't think that's a drawback. I think that's a benefit. Because here's the thing, if people don't care, if they just want to go and buy a watch and they want to go to the AD and they get their 20% off or whatever they can negotiate, and they buy the watch and they leave there with it, that's one group of customers, right, that want to buy new and don't care that they might lose a little money on the watch, right? They're just buying it to wear it and use it, and it is what it is. Then there's the people that want a deal and that don't want to lose that much on the watch and so on. So they're the ones that can hunt on eBay and find a deal and make an offer, maybe lowball some people and maybe snag something. And so they can do their thing. So there's something for everybody, I think, in the GS environment at a lower price point than the Rolex environment. You can do all of these things I just mentioned in the Rolex environment as well, but you're going to pay more money, relatively speaking.
But just like anything else, do your homework, research.
Okay, absolutely. You got.
So anyway, yeah, do your homework. Learn everything you can about the brand. Learn everything you can about the model. See what they sell for on Watch Recon. Check out sold listings on eBay. The
more knowledge you have, the better you can do in your negotiations and so on. But the other side of that coin is that all takes time and effort too. So if that time and effort is better spent at your job where you make a bunch of money, then again, you can go to that AD and just give them that money. Is it like that Clint Eastwood movie? Did you see the movie? I think it was Joe Kidd, where Clint Eastwood goes up to the judge, and the judge says something like, well, you can get the 30 days or $30. And Joe Kidd says, I'll take the 30 days. I have more time than I have money. Okay. So yeah, if you've got a lot of time on your hands and you can research all this and so on, then that makes sense. If you don't have the time, then pay the money.
Well, still though, but it's not just simply buying. It's not like buying a suit or a pair of pants or anything like this. The more time you spend on it, the better chance you will come up with or find the model that you really want.
Maybe, yeah, if you actually are touching and feeling them. But these guys are buying a lot of these things remotely. See, I think that's why there's a lot of turnover in these watches, because I think people buy watches that they think it looks great, and they hear a whole bunch of people talking about it and so on, and they see pictures that look good and all that, and then they get the watch and it's not quite what they thought it was going to be.
Well, the thing is, I have a Facebook group as well, and I'll have someone say, man, my AD gave me a call. There's a red line SeaDweller. I can get an MSRP. I don't really like the watch, but I'm like, well, then if you don't like the watch, why the hell are you buying it?
Well, because they think they're going to make a lick on it. They think it's an opportunity. And like I say, and I put this in the show note too, I mean, I think there's some people, and I've been saying this for a while, I think there's some people that are going to get burned, these people that have 5 or 6 of these watches that they bought them new, and they're in their safety deposit box. And I think when the adjustment comes, and I'm not going to say bubble bursting, but when the adjustment comes, it'll be too late. They won't be able to react to it.
When the balloon deflates, when the pressure and the demand in the balloon deflates a bit.
That's right. And they won't know until it's already happened. And that's when they'll get the memo.
What's going to be even worse though? So those people though, they got them at MSRP, they're minty fresh. Okay, well, it used to be you'd buy one and you'd lose a little bit of depreciation. It'd go down you'd lose 20 or 25%.
Yeah.
Initially, when you walked out the door.
Yeah.
And if you held on to it long enough and kept it in good shape and got it serviced, the price would steadily creep back up along with, Rolex, as a general rule. Those people get hurt a little bit. It's the people who bought on the used market or on the secondary market above MSRP.
They're really going to get burned.
Oh, they're going to, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go through these comments real quick here. We got a bunch of them here. Let's see here.
And Jamie Wise says they won't get burnt. They'll just have to hold on to another 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, right. Well, then they're get burned even worse because they could have had that money in a good investment.
And here's another, while you're catching up, Brian LP actually does a good job of tying everything together. The problem is that Rolex has a shortage of sports models and ADs. Prospective buyers don't have many opportunities to try a watch on before they buy it. This isn't the case with the Grand Seiko.
Well, that's another point. Yeah. Okay. So the GS spring drive ceramic is okay. Well, I already read that. Okay, read that. I have not followed your show very much, Craig. Well, that's all right, Blue. Nobody really follows my show. That's it's what it is. But I was wondering what you think of the Tudor. Isn't it great? Better than a GS. He's fishing. He's troll fishing. So yeah, we don't fool around with Tudors. After the sale, how many watches does Clive have now? He doesn't know. He has no freaking idea how many watches he has. David Lee says Goldberger. Oh no.
Goldberger.
Oh no, those bloody Tudors again. Okay. And then let's see, how many Grand Prix, you can read that Tudor one. Okay. GS hold their value pretty good. I mean, they're not terrible. I would guess they probably hold their value better than a lot of watches. But again, I don't even pay attention to that sort of thing because I don't give a rat's rear end if my watches hold their value or not. I care whether or not they do the job for me and help me make money. That's all I care about. So there's that. Let's see. Problem with Tudor and all switch bearings, with the exception of Swatch, is they're too expensive. They're charging like it's still 1970 and Switzerland is the leader. Oh, jeez. They're going to charge what they can charge.
No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Watches, no, 1970 was a great time. I mean, you know, they're not charging like it's 1970. They weren't regarded as luxury items in 1970. They were regarded as tool watches in 1970.
Yeah.
For God's sake, I wish they were charging like it was 1970.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like the first watch I bought, I think it was 1978. It was a Datejust, with steel Datejust with a Jubilee with an engine turn bezel. And that thing was $680. So, and I think that was the list price. I don't think I paid quite that for it, but I didn't get that much off. But in any event, that in 1978, that was a fair amount of money. I mean, not quite as much as it is today. It's still higher today, right? Adjusted for inflation. But still, $680 in 1978 was not peanuts, is all I'm saying. Okay, the GS Titanium Diver is a proper watch without the weight that will go round for round with Rolex. I love it. I mean, I've had both. And I'm, you know, here's the thing. I mean, I can wear whatever the hell watch I want. I choose the watch that I wear. And right now, I'm wearing the GS Diver as my sport watch. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. And I went there with an open mind and looked at them 6 months ago. Of course, I had cash with me. I always have cash with me, which is a big mistake on my part because I end up buying things. But anyway, I went there and I made him an offer, which I thought was a pretty low offer. And Steve, I think Steve wanted me to have the watch because I think he wanted me also to do some videos about it. So he did give me a good deal, but I straight up bought the watch from him, and I'm tickled pink with it. So there you go. And I've had both. Okay, so hey guys, had to run earlier, but now I'm back. Okay, so Blue Shirt Buddha's back. When buying a watch, ask yourself, where's the beef? Well, there you go. Pluta is garbage. I don't know Paul, and I kind of like the guy from what I've seen, and he did a nice review for me, so I got nothing bad to say about Paul. If I did ever have him on my channel, I'd ask him to, you know, clean up the language, but I think he's funny. So there's that. David Lee, that's an insane deal. Clive, Bill just said buy a Harboring too.
Okay, but however, you know, there's something about that brand you really, really have to be aware of, okay? If you're going to get that as a gift for someone, it's vitally important to make sure that they don't have any warrants.
Okay.
Because the last thing you want to do is get arrested for harboring a fugitive.
There you go. And David Lee says it was sitting in the window for over 2 months. I guess that's a watch that he bought. Clive, your last sell item is the one I wouldn't sell if I had one. The no date ceramic is a great watch, better than the date. I agree it's better than the date, but folks, you know, Clive is going to get a gold stunner. I've tried to convince him.
You would not believe everyone, literally everyone is saying get a gold Rolex. Holy
Absolutely.
Crap.
Well, something. It doesn't have to be a Rolex. I saw Tim did a video on a Calatrava the other day. Did you see it? The one for like 27, 28 grand, the one with the gold bracelet. That's a gorgeous watch. I think it's 37 mil, and it's all gold bracelet.
Okay.
I was tempted. I had my finger on the make offer button. I was tempted on that one.
Let me put it this way: if it's a good design, if the quality of the movement was good, if it was aesthetically appealing, Craig, would it make a difference to you what brand it was?
Yeah, because one thing that I like for example, the reason I bought Rolexes for many, many years is I did like being able to go to the Rolex building in New York and drop off a watch and have them do their thing and know that it was going to come back and was going to be fantastic. Because I was buying some watches back then that needed work, that were in bad shape, and I would take them right to them, and they didn't charge an arm and a leg. They used to do the work in New York. They don't do it anymore, but they used to do it there. And it was, I liked dealing with them, right? And that's why I do stick with certain brands just for I just like dealing with them. And like, for example, I like dealing with Steve, and I met the guy from Grand Seiko, and, you know, I like the folks. And so I like to deal with people that I can trust, that I think are going to do a good job. And same thing with Patek. If I bought that watch that I just mentioned, I kind of know that they would stand behind it and service it. If I needed something done, it would be expensive, right? But I pretty much know that I could turn it over to them, and they would do their thing, and it would come back, and it would be okay. So those are the kinds of things that I look at in an expensive watch. I want that kind of comfort and trust, and I have that with Rolex. I have that with Grand Seiko, and I think I would have that with Patek, and I'm sure I'd have it with some other brands too. But
let me ask you a quick question. Let's just say a gold Rolex Daytona, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You think a gold bracelet would be necessary, or do you think just the ones on straps would be sufficient?
Well, okay. If you would ask me the question about a GMT2, I'd rather answer that question because I don't like the Daytona. I wouldn't buy the Daytona either way. But yes, if I bought the Daytona, I'd want it on a bracelet. I'd want gold on a bracelet because I look at that more as a sport watch, and I look at that as a watch that I would wear in circumstances where my wrist would sweat, and I don't really want to wear a strap in a situation where my wrist is sweating. So, yeah, and I'm not a big fan of straps. I have one on this gold stunner, and it works for that, right? For a straight up dress watch, that's one thing. But for a sport watch, I'm more a bracelet, especially a Rolex. Yeah, so I would go bracelet all the way, but I would not go for that particular watch. I'd go for a GMT2 on a bracelet, all gold. That'd be stunning. Oh my God, we'd be your friend, Clive, if you had one of those. Clive says, well, that's another reason not to get one. Okay. So they won't get burnt. They'll have to hold for another 10 to 20 years. I don't know what he... Oh, okay. I already read that. Yeah. The problem is that because Rolex's shortage... Okay, we already read that. Prices are deflating already. Maybe. Wish it would hurry up. I want to buy a GMT. The only real hot pieces that are deflating a little, the rest continue to rise year on year. I don't know about that, David. Just try to sell a watch and see how easy it is to sell them. We're finding right now that it's not that easy to sell them. They're not flying out the window. Clive,
but keep in mind, okay. Time, fire sale. Most of mine sold quickly. Actually, the guy
Well, but wait, now yours are priced really aggressively.
Right.
Okay, so let's test. Why don't we try to sell one of your watches at a high price and see what happens? That'll be a test. People who spend 11 grand on a ceramic Daytona are going to be taking multi-$1,000 bath, but the losses are going to be... 11
grand over, I think is what they're trying to say.
Okay, 11 grand extra. Yeah, he did say. But the losses are going to be worse with the BLRO and the Pepsi GMT. I am John Goldberger. Nice to meet you guys. Okay. Where's Arch Clivers? I feel like an idiot if my watch is worth more than my car. Actually, I don't think that's a good. No. I think the worst place you can put money is in a car. And here's a guy that's driving a 2004 Prius, right? I mean, that's a 15-year-old car now. Now, mine only has a little over 100,000 miles on it, but garage kept, runs like new, you know. But yeah, I don't believe in putting a lot of money in a car because talk about where you really lose your butt. Now, I did buy that car new, but I plan on keeping it 20 years, right? So, you know, per mile, I'm not paying that much for the car, per mile per year. So yeah, car. Now, unless you're buying some real collectible and you know what you're doing, like I say, you get a good price on a V12 Ferrari or something, that's a different story. But again, even there, you've got storage costs, you've got maintenance and upkeep costs, you've got, you know, a whole can of worms there that you don't necessarily have with a watch. So I think having an expensive timepiece. And the other thing is, depending on the line of work you're in, Clive and I have already talked about some benefits that he has in certain circumstances when he's wearing a watch, where he's trying to land a client or whatever. Same thing with me, where I'm going to a business meeting or something. If I'm well dressed, all these little details make a difference. It might allow me to close a deal where I make many thousands of dollars. And so dressing for success means something. Now, the car you pulled up in and parked in their parking lot doesn't mean as much as the way you're dressed, in my opinion. So there's that. But if you're filthy rich like Clive, then you can have all of the above. You can have a nice-looking female driver and have her pull up in an all-black Suburban and let you out or what. I mean, you can just do the whole entourage deal if you've got his kind of money. Let's see. Let's go on here. Gotta get the Suckerhorn on, whatever that. Okay.
Suckerhorn is John Suckerhorn, Archie's co-host and long-term friend.
Okay, there you go. He's in Brisbane. Okay.
You don't want to read the rest of that. Yeah, you don't want to read the rest of that.
Yeah, I know. I see it. There's a great video.
But it rhymes.
Facebook,
it's a good rhyme. I'll put it that way.
Facebook GS Owners Club of Seiko's factory. Yeah, there's some great videos that you can watch on how they make those things and to learn about Grand Seiko. It's pretty amazing.
Well, now also, let me also talk about my Parmigiani.
There we go. Okay. Who is Craig Ship? Somebody asked here in the chat.
No idea.
Yeah. And Blue says equals the man. Okay, well, there you go. All right, so show that watch again. I got you on camera.
The Parmigiani Fleurier. This is a Kalpa hebdomadaire.
Put your hand behind it so it'll focus on that shallow. Yeah. Okay.
8-day power reserve. Nice large case.
And you wind it manually?
Yep.
Okay.
Entirely in-house movement.
Steel?
Yeah.
And what's the clasp?
Clasp is also a steel deployment.
Oh, that's nice. I like the watch. I'm not a fan of square watches, and I'm not a fan of that type of a lug that looks like it's kind of like stuck on. But, for people that like that sort of thing, it's a good-looking watch.
It's a horned lug.
Yeah.
You can imagine where I picked up my predilection towards horns, right?
So somebody else here said, Craig and Clive, a match made in heaven. I'm going to try a different headphone here so I not killing myself. Give me a second.
Not a problem.
See what I can do.
But one of the things, though, is that my young friend in Florida, who's just really just an alpha watch nerd geek himself, found the same exact watch, and he knows his watches. And he said, there's a jeweler over there that he's had it for a couple of years over by my grandparents. I realized what it was after I saw yours. And he said he's selling it for $2,100. He has no idea. He really has no idea about it.
Okay. That is much better. Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you. So I'll tell you, these Sony headphones, they're great for monitoring for a very short period of time. But more than 10 minutes, they really bug me. I got to get a pair of headphones and there are some that are rated to be more comfortable. for longer periods of time. I may have to do that. So there you go. And here, folks, if you want to see, here's my setup. I gave you the wide shot. There's the headphones I was talking about. And then let's switch real quick again to the spring driver. There's the spring driver doing its thing. Now
keep in mind though, this one retails for $18,000.
No,
you tell they put the money into it. Now, hear me out.
Okay.
Didn't you declare Shogun as the best watch?
I did once. Yeah.
This is a $3 super chat by NV Scotsman.
Yeah, I did. I absolutely called it the best ever. And the only reason I got rid of that watch is it wasn't as accurate as I would want my watch to be. And that's what kind of led me to the diver that I have now, is that the SBDC 007, the Shogun, is titanium and is also extremely comfortable on wrist. It's actually thinner than the GS diver. And it was a joy to wear that watch. I wore it for 2 years. It's a fantastic watch. Now, you can get them for $800 all day long. Brand new, pretty much. It's a Japan market only watch, but you can get them for around $800. It is hard to beat that watch except for the accuracy of the spring drive. That trumps the heck out of it, right? But if you don't care that much about spot-on accuracy, I highly recommend the SBDC 007 for a sport watch, for an everyday beat-around sport watch. And that's how I was recommending it, not as a dress watch or whatever. But for that use case, it is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let me go through the rest of these comments real quick. You don't have to be into cars to have an expensive one, bro. Some people like luxury cars. Absolutely they do. Craig is Miss Maryland's pimp. I don't do anything for the Miss Maryland organization anymore. I used to cover a lot of their events and do a lot of photography work for them. And I did shoot Miss Maryland 2002. I shot her wedding for her. She asked me to shoot her wedding. And I don't like shooting weddings. Trust me, it's a high pressure thing, especially for Miss Maryland. But I did go ahead and shoot her wedding. And if you want to see those photos, they're on my Flickr stream. This was many years ago. This was 2002. This was early days of digital cameras, right? And she wanted somebody to shoot it digitally. And I think I was one of the few photographers she knew that had a halfway decent digital camera.
Right.
So she had me shoot her wedding, and they came out good. I think they came out good. Back then, they were looking at 4 megapixel photos, folks. I mean, a pro digital camera was 4 megapixels. And people are like, my gosh, I need like 40 megapixels now, right?
Right.
So Craig and Clive, a match made in heaven. Okay, I think where I live, the government passed a law limiting the use of cash to about a maximum of $2,000. That's why we need Bitcoin. There's a whole lot of reasons why we need Bitcoin, and there's going to be a lot of that sort of thing coming. A lot of capital controls are starting to come to a lot of countries, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised that if some point in time it starts coming to the U.S. And that's the thing I like about Bitcoin is if you control your private keys, it is what it is. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. It's basically cash. And that is pretty cool in my opinion. Good point on 1970. I have a Seiko from the 70s, classic styling, and they were held up as good as any Swiss watch from that era. These were about $100 in the 70s, now selling for $500 to $1,000. Okay. Very puny, Clive. I guess they're talking about that watch. No, that watch is a good size. It looked great.
This one?
Yeah, it looked. No, the other one. The other one you had on. I think that's the one he was. Yeah, I think that's a good size watch. That's not a small watch. AC wouldn't come on your channel. He'd want you on his. Okay, whatever.
Yep, that's true. We talked about that.
If you want to use your money without their approval, you are a criminal. There you go. So yeah, that's their thought process. Governments like to control things. Okay, they don't like you doing things on your own. So there you
Not
go.
as much as they like to tax things.
And they like that too, and that's part of their control. Get a gold quartz Invicta. I didn't even know they made them. Let's see here. Seikos that get discontinued had shot way up in value too. I don't know about that.
Well, to quote Oliver Wendell Holmes, the power to tax is the power to destroy.
There you go. Not me. I think you should get an H. Moser double hairspring. There you go. And I'm struggling a little bit because I should really have my glasses with a little more magnification for the small print. But anyway, I'm 2/3 of the way towards my goal of a 3-watch rotation. Rolex Day-Date 118238. That's a nice watch. That's got the solid center links. And depending on how the year of it, it might have the newer clasp also. Omega Seamaster 300M 42. Next will be the Grand Seiko spring drive. Which spring drive, Terry? Because I don't know what you need. If you've got the Day-Date and you've got the diver Seamaster 300, I'm just confused as to why you think you even need a third watch in that rotation, and how you're going to keep all three of them running. And I hate auto winders, but anyway, that's just me. What about the 16518 Clive? Are they headed strong?
And that was the solid. I mean, that was the gold Daytona with the gold buckle on the back, but on a strap.
Okay. 1978 price of gold was $200 an ounce. So if you paid 3 to 4 ounces of gold at $680, that's $44.20 at current gold price of $1,300. About the same in real money. Good. That's a good analogy. The Seiko brand warrants some attention, including vintage, not just Grand Seiko. I hear you, but the Grand Seikos are so affordable. I mean, relatively speaking here. We're talking about Rolexes and so on, right? I mean, I'm not talking about people who want to spend $200 for a watch here. We're not addressing that crowd, I don't think. So, relatively speaking, the Grand Seiko is affordable, so I don't see a reason to buy the Seiko, is I guess what I'm saying. When you can buy a Grand Seiko for $1,500 on eBay all day long, I mean, a decent, solid watch, why would you buy a Seiko?
Well, yeah,
that's my way of thinking.
I made a joke about Seiko earlier, but let me also be honest. They are a damn solid watch. They're not a luxury watch.
Well, the SBDC 007, the Shogun, that I said was a great watch, is a fantastic watch by any measure. I mean, it is well made. The bracelet is great. It's a fantastic watch, and it's $800. But still, having said that, I would rather, if I was buying something today, knowing what I know about Grand Seiko, I would rather spend $800 extra and spend like $1,600 and get a Grand Seiko. So that's all I'm saying. It's not like I got to spend $5,000. Now I did, but it's not like you have to. Like I say, you can go on eBay and you can find deals all day long on Grand Seikos.
Now, on the Grand Seiko, your diver, does it have like a glide lock adjustment?
It has a, I'll tell you what it has, and let me switch to, well, I'm not going to handle it, but what it has is, it has what looks like a typical flip-lock clasp on a typical Rolex, the older Rolexes, right? But when you, and I'll grab it here. I can figure out a way to put it back, or I won't even care. I'm going to wrap the show pretty soon anyway. So, okay. So can you see the clasp?
Yes.
All right. What's neat about this is if I close the clasp, okay, it's got these two releases here to open it up, right? On either side, right? Now this piece here, the flip lock piece, if I pull that this direction, that way, right?
Right.
Then there's a piece underneath here. You see how that comes out?
Right.
And that's a ratchet. That's a one-way ratchet. So it extends. And what I do, I leave it on my wrist, and I just pull the flip lock back a little bit, and that releases this ratchet, which extends it out. And it can go further than that, right? Let me take it all the way out. Okay. So there it's all the way out, right?
Right.
All right. Now I can close the clasp. And what's neat is it still acts like a one-way ratchet where I can push it in if I push it a little bit, right? It doesn't go in by itself, but if I push it a little bit, it'll go in, right? But it won't come it won't come out anymore unless I lift that clasp up. Unless I lift the clasp up, it won't come out. So it's like a one-way deal, right? So I can
it's almost like a zip strip or something like that.
Yeah, I can bump it out some, and I bump it out a little bit too much, right? And then I just ratchet it in until it feels just right? And then I just leave it there. And so from a usability standpoint, it's extremely easy to use. That coupled with the micro adjustments, see the micro adjustments?
Yes, I do.
See, it's got 4 micro adjustments. That's all I need. Because in the summer and the fall, when the season changes, I can use the micro adjustments. And then if I'm just out on a day and I'm sweating or whatever, I can, I can use that temporary extension to extend it a little bit, a notch or two. And sometimes I do that at night when I'm sleeping and I just want a little more wiggle room there. I'll just extend it a little bit, right? But you can see, and I'm showing the folks that are watching, I'm on camera right now. You can see the shape of the case and the shape of the lugs and the way it's all rounded and so forth. And I'll show you, Clive. See the shape?
Right.
It's just, it really does drape on the wrist nicely. And the bracelet's extremely comfortable, and it does not rattle when it's on your wrist. It's very solid. People knock these for the bracelets, and I love this bracelet. And like I say, I've had a lot of Rolexes on bracelets, and this is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous bracelet, and it's extremely functional. So I don't understand what else the hell they want. And the fit to the case is top notch. I'll show you, Clive.
Nice.
It fits. Everything just is the way it should be. So, what's happening with the comments? And then we're going to wrap here pretty soon. It's an extended.
I don't know. Do you think I should sell my 2-line no date sub or my one of my Kermits?
I don't know, but Chip says this guy is boring. I guess he's talking about me. He can't be talking about you.
Well, I've been kind of sitting there, so technically I've been a lot more boring.
Let's see here. What else do we got here before I get to what you were just saying? Hold your thought just for a second. Let me. Clive, suit up like Ship. He suits up all day for work, so he doesn't have to suit up for the show. You better off buy limited edition Omegas instead of Bitcoin. Oh, boy. Hey, the time will tell the tale on that. If Bitcoin crashes to zero, then you're right. You'd be better off buying the Omegas. But if Bitcoin goes to 100 grand, then you'd be better off buying Bitcoin. Craig prefers yellow gold for the day date. I do like yellow gold day dates. BTC will be under 2K by the end of the year. I'll buy some more then, if that happens. What is the choice to make for a Rolex? What is the choice to make for Rolex Date 840? Everrose? Okay, he already answered that. Bitcoin is garbage, Chip says. Time will tell, Chip, if you're right or not. eBay is... So far, Chip, you've been wrong. I've made a lot of money on my Bitcoin. So far, you're all wet. And I'm talking about Bitcoin that I've already sold for big profit. So Chip sounds like a guy who missed out on the gravy train and is kind of pissed off about it. eBay is a horrible place to buy or sell anything expensive or commonly.
On the other hand, if you don't know anything, if you can't be bothered to learn about it, it is better that you stay out of it.
Well, here's the thing about eBay. You can buy watches with a buyer protection. So you
I'm talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Bitcoin is, Clive, none of us know. The only thing we know is what's in the rearview mirror. We know that if you'd have bought it at $30, right, and you'd have sold it at anything higher than $30, right, $200, $300, if you'd have sold it at $1,000, if you'd have sold it at $5,000, we know that you would have made a lot of money, right? That's in the rearview mirror. So we know that. And so we know, when I bought my Bitcoin, we know that I'm sitting pretty, right? Because I bought it years ago. Okay, so we know that, right? Now, we don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We don't know. All we know is that it has survived 10 years against all odds. We know that, and I've got links to all of this on my website. If you want to take a look, just go to my website, CraigShipp.com, click on the More menu, click on Take Control Downloads. There's a whole bunch of information. Yeah. More than 300 times in the last 10 years. And I'm not talking about some blogger in his basement. I'm talking about major media operations straight up saying it's finished. Right? Kaput.
Right.
300 times. And it is far from kaput. It's more than $3,000 a Bitcoin. This is something you could have bought for a quarter 10 years ago. Right? So I would say it's far from kaput. And now, what's going to happen in the future? We don't know. But all I know is I would not own some Bitcoin right now. It's not an option for me to just sell all my Bitcoin right now and have none, even though I would make a nice, healthy profit if I sold right now. I'm not going to do it. So all I'm saying is what I'm doing. I'm not giving anybody else any advice, but I'm just saying that I wouldn't bet against it. Because every time it's been beat up like it has been here recently, where it went down 80%, every time in the past that this has happened, it's gone to new highs. It's reversed and gone back up again to all new highs. So if that happens, those who don't have any will be like, uh-oh, I missed out again. So there's that.
Now, Ed Gein is asking a question. Does Hotbring 2 make autos or just manual wind? Actually, I think they just make watches.
Now, can you make a comment about this? eBay is a horrible place to buy or sell anything expensive or commonly counterfeited like watches.
You've got buyer protection through PayPal. You generally will have buyer protection through your credit card or your bank debit card as well.
And also, GSs I don't think are counterfeited as often as a Rolex.
Yeah, because they're made by Asians, and Asians don't counterfeit their own shit. They counterfeit everyone else's shit. So, yeah.
Well, and also it's not as big a market, and I think it's harder to make. It's harder to make a GS. There's a lot of hand work in them, so it's easier to make a. Okay, so let's see. Let me keep going here. And Chip says, Chip kept dumping on BTC. BTC is definitely not cash. But Chip, it's very liquid. You can sell it immediately. You can sell it.
I tell you what, there's someone I know on the other channel on my Facebook group, FIST, the Premier Horological Institute of Swiss Timepieces. I want to keep him slightly anonymous, so I'll refer to him as Yark Musapov. Yark, optician in Brooklyn, and he is a Patek buying son of a biscuit.
Okay.
And it's not through selling eyeglasses, it's through Bitcoin. Like, this guy is flipping Richard like alt solid gold Richard.
Now wait a minute. Now, so are you saying he buys them with Bitcoin or he sells them for Bitcoin?
He has used Bitcoin, profits from Bitcoin, to get some incredible watches. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Well, some of the Bitcoiners will buy, we talked about this with Steve, some of the Bitcoiners will buy luxury items just as a way to use their Bitcoin, because here's the problem with Bitcoin. if you bought the Bitcoin years ago, it was $30, okay? Let's say you bought it when it was $30. And now you want to sell 10 Bitcoins, you know, get 100 grand or whatever. Well, you'd have to sell 20 Bitcoins. You get 100 grand right now, right? Okay.
Right.
No, 28 Bitcoins, whatever the math is, okay? So let's say I sold 28 Bitcoins and I got 100 grand right now, right? If I did that on an exchange, if I put my Bitcoin on Coinbase and I sold it there, I've got to show all that capital gain. That's going to be a long-term capital gain. I've got to pay my 15% on 100 grand. So I got to pay 15 grand, right? Now, if I go and I buy a Patek Philippe watch from an exchange and I buy the watch directly from you and you send me the watch, technically, I'm still supposed to pay that gain. Technically. But most of these guys don't.
It's like if you buy a watch from a merchant out of state and they ship it to you, you're technically then supposed to go to your state.
Pay the tax.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but here's the thing. You're much less likely to get caught doing that, is my point. And that's why people will buy a Lamborghini, literally. I mean, you know, and because they want to do it. So that may be why he bought some of those watches, and then he might resell them, right? And that's kind of like laundering the money, kind of. So there's that. Let's see what else there is here. Seikos are the Toyotas of wristwatches, not luxury items, but great quality. Yeah, and Grand Seiko is like the Lexus. That'd be a good analogy.
Yeah. I think that's a good analogy. I was about to say that earlier, but yeah.
The stainless steel GS Steve showed us earlier this week at just over 2K was stunning. Yeah, it was.
At over 2K?
I think it was more like around 3K, the manual wine one. I don't remember the price.
Really? Shit, that's how much they got for a new?
Well, that was the manual wine one.
Still though.
Some of them are reasonable. Some of them are in the $3,000 range. Yeah. They go from there like on up. Toyota makes the Land Cruiser and the Century. I don't know I'd never heard of the Century. What's the point of buying a watch if it's not a luxury watch? Chip says. Okay.
That's actually a good point.
Let's see here. Seeing Clive on CraigShipp.com is like running into your high school football team's quarterback in a gay bar. Okay. Not so sure what all that means.
I wouldn't know. I've never been to a gay bar, so I can't really, sorry.
I don't know who's the quarterback here. But anyway, it is what it is. These people will pretty much say anything. Yeah, it's like buying a supermarket suit. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. This guy is boring. Again, we don't know which one he was talking about. You suck at it, whatever that means. This guy sounds like he collects stamps, coins, and Civil War artifacts. Okay, I don't know who collects all that stuff. I don't really collect anything. I don't know. I don't know what Clive collects. My dream watch, how big when compared to the Sub? Which dream watch? CraigShip is the anti-Tim Mosa. Is that the Tim that's on the watch box?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and he will tell you the truth sometimes. There was one time when he opened up one of his shows, and he basically said that people shouldn't buy watches on credit cards.
Yeah.
And he said, after he said it, he said, I probably shouldn't say that. I could get fired, right? I mean, he is given some sage advice. If you read between the lines on some of the things that he says, a lot of the things that he says, I have said on this channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tim's a pretty good guy, and he'll let you know the truth sometimes. But
and Archie Luxury has also given some good advice if you read between the lies.
This
Sorry,
guy,
lines. I meant to say lines.
this guy,
not lies, lines.
this guy married into money. He never earned it. I guess he's talking about me. Yeah, I did. I married really well twice. My first wife gave me a boatload of cash, which I spent. My second wife, you know, because I was so hot, she paid me every time we had sex. And so I ended up really ahead on that game. And if you believe all that, I've got a bridge over here on the mountain.
Did you hear the joke about the farmer on his deathbed?
No.
Old farmer is finally getting ready to pass away slowly. And he talked to his wife. He said, you know, dear, you told me that box in the bed, you had me promise you to never look under it. I mean, you had me promise you never look at it. And he said, I have kept that promise. For 40 years, I have kept that promise. And before I go, I have to admit, it's really been eating at me. What's in the box? She tried to talk him out of it, and he would not. He couldn't be he couldn't be persuaded. He had to see what's in the box. So he brought the box to him. She opened it up, and inside was 4 eggs and a stack of $100 bills. And he said, "Well, what's all this for?" Well, every time we made love and it was unsatisfactory, I took one of the eggs from the hen house and stuck them in the box. And he was thinking, 40 years, that's 4 eggs. That's pretty good. Yeah. He said, okay, okay. What's with the stack of $100 bills? She said, every time I got a dozen eggs, I sold them. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, so Neil B says, sell the Kermit. Which one? Good point. Good point. It's got 2. And Blue says, Craig has class. So there you go. So I've inherited a ton of money. Let's get this all straight. I inherited a ton of money from, I guess, both of my wives, right? And I meet up with class. So other than that, there you go. I could just pretty much retire right now. I've made it. Does Harboring 2 make autos or just manual wine? The GF drive. No, they just only make watches. They don't make autos. We're talking about Lexus and Toyota previously. The Diver GS class works great, but needs to be milled or something. Not really, Jamie. I mean, it just works great. You can end the sentence there. I mean, stamped clasps, as long as they work well and don't fall apart, are okay. I wore Rolexes for many years, just like the one you just thought, with stamped clasps, and they're fine. And sometimes you go to a milled setup and you add bulk and you add weight that you don't necessarily have to add. So these are all trade-offs. And we learn about this in the photography industry, that, everything's a trade-off. You get a fast piece of glass, and many times it doesn't focus as fast because the glass is so heavy. And, of course, it's heavy. So my 85 mil portrait lens, full frame, is a bear to lug around. But, man, does it take great portraits. But, man, is it not good for any kind of sports or action because it doesn't focus fast. So everything has its trade-offs. So this clasp design, if they would have done the whole thing milled, first of all, they probably couldn't do it. They probably couldn't fit it into all that same space, right? And it probably wouldn't have the same functionality. And so I am tickled pink with it. And this is coming from a guy who, when I bought it, I asked Steve, can I switch this clasp? I'll pay money to get a different clasp. I hate this clasp, right? Then after I wore it for a few weeks and played with it and actually wore it and used it and so on, I'm like, I love this clasp. So you never know until you really experience it and see if it meets your needs or not. BTC at 100,000 K and Archie shave the horns and get a job. Whatever all that means. Okay. And that's Chip. BTC more than $1 million. Here's the thing. Okay, Clive, I want you to do some math. You're a very smart guy. Okay? You're very smart. You're an attorney. It's not, they don't give that license to just morons, okay? You realize that attorney and accountant both start with the same letter, but they're totally different jobs, right?
There you go. But
okay.
But I'm talking about brains here, okay? Analytical power. All right, so think about this. There are 36 million millionaires in the world. 36 million, okay? So there are going to be eventually a total of 21 million Bitcoin produced by like around the year 2040 or so. It'll stop being produced and it'll end at 21 million. Now, by all estimates, about 5 million of those are irretrievably lost or will be irretrievably lost. So let's say let's just round off numbers. Let's say we've got 15 million of these things in circulation. Okay, 15 million Bitcoin total in the world. How many Bitcoin can each millionaire in the world own? If there's 36 million millionaires, and there's 15 million Bitcoin.
Half a Bitcoin, or less
roughly half a Bitcoin. So what that tells me is if the wealthy...
roughly 0.47, 0.6539%.
There you go. So here's the thing. This is what this tells me. That it tells me that if, and this is a big if now, if the wealthy start deciding to put a small amount of their wealth in Bitcoin as a hedge, okay? If they say, hey, I just want to have a few of these things just in case, right? If this millionaire, this random millionaire says, I want to have a few of these Bitcoin things.
Right.
Just a hedge, right?
Right.
They can't do it. They can't have a couple of them. They're going to run out. There's not going to be enough for all of these millionaires to each have one Bitcoin, even just one. So that stat alone tells me I want to have at least one Bitcoin. At least one. Of course, I want more than that because I'm greedy, but I want to have at least one because I want to have more than the millionaires can have. Now, the other, and this is the last thing I'll say on it, the other analogy is there's trillions of dollars in gold. There's something like $7 trillion in gold, right?
Right.
Now, there are people that say if you took a bucket of all of the wealth out there, if you took a bucket, a big bucket, and it's filled with water, and that's this wealth, that's the gold and other things that wealthy people have their money in, right? You can even lump real estate and other things into that. Ways that you hold value, right? Store value. They call it a store of value. This is a huge bucket full of water, right?
Right.
If you took Bitcoin is like a thimble, like you put on your finger when you do sewing, right? It's a little tiny thimble that you start pouring that water into.
What other types of thimbles are there, just out of curiosity?
Here's the thing. This is the argument that people make against Bitcoin, is they say there's all these altcoins. There's Ethereum. There's all these alternate coins to Bitcoin. And some people say, well, this is going to be the next Bitcoin, right? But they're all scams. None of them are decentralized like Bitcoin. None of them have the traction of Bitcoin. None of them have the network effect of Bitcoin. And pretty much
mind share.
Pretty much none of them will succeed. They're all scams, okay? And now the question as to whether or not Bitcoin will succeed is an open question too. But the question as to whether or not they'll succeed is like 1/1000th of a chance that Bitcoin will succeed, or maybe even 1/1,000,000th of a chance, right? I mean, there's pretty much no chance any of them will succeed. If Bitcoin fails, they'll all fail, in other words. Bitcoin is it. It either works. The premise either works or it doesn't. This is our one shot at this thing.
Well, it's kind of like the luxury watch market. If Rolex fails, I think the entire field will go down.
Probably. Yeah. But this is even more powerful than that, in that Bitcoin, what happened was it was a perfect storm when that thing was created. It was created right after the financial crisis in 2008, and it flew under the radar screen for a long time. It developed a huge network and a large number of really smart programmers that program on this thing, right? And so It was a perfect storm for this thing to be created, and it would be virtually impossible for anybody to create something like it today. If they started like today and said, hey, I want to create this, which is what these altcoins are, which is some guy in a basement, coming up with some idea and saying, this is how I'm going to do it, right? And the chances of that taking hold and getting the kind of hash power that Bitcoin has, and the network that it has, and the programmers that it has, and the name recognition that it has, and so on, it's just not going to happen. And if somebody tries to do it centralized, like a bank or the U.S. government tries to do it, right, then that's just another form of fiat currency. That's just another centralized currency. So there's nothing new about that. There's nothing special about that. So What makes Bitcoin special is the fact that it's not centralized. It's not controlled by anybody. No, there's nobody to fire. It's like when the congressman was interviewing this expert about Bitcoin, he said, who's in charge, right? And the guy says, well, nobody's in charge. And the congressperson says, well, no, I mean, who's the boss? Who started this thing? Well, there's this guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, but nobody knows who he is. And nobody knows if it's really just one person or multiple people. Nobody knows what that entity is. Well, what do you mean? Where are they? How do I find them? Well, nobody knows. Well, what do you mean nobody knows? And this went on, right? And so that's the thing with Bitcoin, is there's nobody to arrest. There's nobody to fine. There's nobody to say, shut this thing down, right? It's the cat's out of the bag. It's like all over the place. It's a 1,000-headed monster that they don't know how to kill. And so that's what's funny about it. And we're going to see how it all plays out. So anyway, you want to sell any watches before we wrap up?
Well, no, I mean, like I said, I think this one's going to sell either tonight or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the ceramic Submariner. And I don't know, I might take a break, and we might come back next weekend. We need to save something up for next weekend, don't we?
No, but there's a couple more comments in here real quick. This guy says, these people are thinking short range. I remember in 2012-ish when it was $285, Bitcoin was never 25 cents. Yes, it was. It was actually lower than 25 cents. We're talking about 2010. We're talking about 10 years ago, not 2012. Bitcoin will be worth less. Bitcoin will be worth loads of Bitcoin, whatever that. Craig, can you explain why BTC dropped from 19K down to 3,800? This happens all the time, Chip. This is normal for Bitcoin. Look at its history. It's had pullbacks like this several times over its history. It shoots way up, and then it goes way down. And then it shoots way up higher than the previous time, and then it goes down. And over time, it's gone up. It's averaged, as of last week, it's averaged 0.5% per day return on investment. So that's what your return would have been if you'd have bought it in the beginning and you still had it now. And this is after the pullback. Okay, it's averaged 0.5% return per day, and Clive will tell you, even though he's not an accountant, that 0.5% per day is pretty good. The UK pound is fixed at the moment. The only way is up for us. Surely, if the dollar goes to shit, it's worthless though. Better to buy gold, silver, etc., or buy a watch from Clive. Buying an asset based on historical patterns is bad as listening to Archie for weight loss and life. I agree with you, Chip. I think you should buy, if you're going to buy something, for example, like Bitcoin, I think the best reason to buy it is that you believe in the concept and you believe in what it's doing and you think that it might work and it might achieve its goals, which is to be a world-class store of value like gold and a worldwide currency. It's pretty cool to be able to send money to somebody anywhere in the world and have nobody be able to mess with it. And every time I've sent Bitcoin to somebody, I've been like amazed that, damn, I just sent them something of value, just like I was sending an email, for God's sakes, and it just worked. And that is revolutionary. That has never been done. We have never had a currency as hard as Bitcoin, hard currency as strong and as stable as Bitcoin in the history of man. We've never had this. Okay. So that's why I think that it's interesting, and I hope it succeeds, because it's a pretty amazing concept. The trick to staving off counterfeits, angels / facts, alternating finishes. Well, there you go. I heard there's some really good fakes coming out that are hard to tell. GS has beveled edges on everything, alternating between brush, polish, satin finish. Well, there you go. Angles, facets, alternating finishes. I doubt the Chinese fakers could ever fake a spring drive. That's a good point. BTC is traceable, and only a dumbass criminals would accept it as tender. That's been addressed. BTC prices fell because there's more people selling than buying. Think market correction. Well, there you go. Yeah, yep. They're building some layers on top of Bitcoin that are going to be more private for people that want private transactions. But that's correct. The Bitcoin ledger is there, and it can be tracked. So, I mean, cash is really the number one tool for drug smugglers and criminals. They usually use cash. GS offers quartz and mechanical too. Yep, absolutely. Apple lost $67 billion, which is more than the total market value of BTC. Of $61 billion. BTC is still in its infancy. Absolutely, it's in its infancy, but it is 10 years old. But that's an infant. Coinbase sends you a 1099. That's right. Coinbase keeps track. That's why if you sell them on the exchange and you don't pay your taxes, you may get a letter from the IRS. Craig, are you also a fan of Ethereum? No, Ethereum is a scam. No, I'm not a fan of Ethereum. Lexus, luxury export in the U.S. The manual wine GS that Steve showed was gorgeous. Okay. It was Thomas Burnett. Okay. That's Clive. You typed that. Love my Rolex 16613 Bluesy. $24 billion has been spent via OTC for cryptocurrency in 2018. That's over the counter. Have you seen Bird Box? No. The Grand Seiko SBGA 385 with Sriracha Polish dial is $53,000. Woo. SBGA 385. I'm not sure what that is. Wow. Buy only Rolex and Patek. Well, there you go. Why not? We all know who we are talking about. Okay, whatever. Archie tells us to buy watches on credit. Come on. Yeah, if you take financial advice from Archie, you're really in bad shape. I almost said Audrey. Yeah, you'd be better off taking it from Audrey. Come on, Clive, do a live stream. See, they want you to do your own live stream.
Oh, by the way, if I can make it, I'll probably be 7 p.m. tonight, Central Standard Time or Chicago time. I hope to have Han Danes on.
Well, there you go. Does Archie's dad support him?
The topic will be why Han Danes is really mad at the Swiss watch industry.
Okay. Can we up the machismo and get Don Haynes on the show?
Han Danes. Han Danes.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep him anonymous.
Archie isn't buying all of those watches on vacation with YouTube money. He doesn't work, whatever that's all about. Is the Pontiff having a live show today? Clive?
Who knows?
Pop-up Pluto.
And by the way, if you've got on his Instagram, don't. I've seen the pictures. No, you guys don't want to go. Seriously, do not want to go there. No.
Now they'll all go there.
Please do not go there.
Watch Exchange is Sydney Watch Exchange is funding AC3. AC3 is just a front for Cindy Watch Exchange. Sounds like some FUD there. Did Craig make his fortune through his work at Blue Velvet?
Well, I have heard that he's basically a mule for Sydney Watch Exchange. And it's brilliant when you think about it, because you never expect a horned animal being a mule.
There you go. So, Craig made his fortune through his work at Blue Velvet. We've already discussed how I made my fortune. My two beautiful ex-wives paid me a fortune because I was so good in bed. I mean, we've already determined that. They paid to play, right, Clive? Pay to play.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Clive, sell one of the Kermits. Let's see if the price is as strong as being asked by others. So put a real high price on it, Clive, and let's see if it sells.
All right. I'll have to figure out which one. I'd probably do the newer one with the engraved rehaut.
And Chip says, "Oh my God, this is guerrilla math." Oh, good. That's good. Clive's butt is hurting from all the sitting. He is itching to go walk the dog. Well, we're trying to wrap up. If you guys will stop putting comments in here, I can wrap the damn show.
It will not happen, Craig. They will keep hitting. Yeah, if these are people off my channel, they will keep typing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go real quick here.
You will go quicker, and they will type quicker. That's how it works.
What is the definition of a millionaire? Well, David, here's the deal. I mean, I think it's lifestyle is more than important than how much money you have. Because, for example, you might have $100,000 and you might be living somewhere where the cost of living is so low that your lifestyle is like off the chart. And so I think lifestyle is more important than the money that you have. So it's all relative. Where is this going, Craig? I don't think it's going anywhere, folks. I'm just trying to get through here. I don't want to be rude and just hang up on all you people. What is this man talking about? Why would they put this in the chat? How the hell do I know what I'm talking about? Bitcoin won't hold unless the Chinese Communist Party adopts it. It's all over the world, folks. It's not just dependent on one country. We've already seen China block it, and that didn't kill it. Craig is dressed like a high school principal in 1968. No, not 1968, more like 1974.
Actually. Well, except the tie is a little not quite there, but yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry.
It is a Solka and Company tie.
I'm starting to get into cryptocurrency a little bit myself.
Well, I wouldn't get into cryptocurrency. I'd just buy Bitcoin. Be done with it.
Well, no, actually, I'm actually having some modest gains with cryptocurrency. Because when I'm breaking into crypts, taking watches off the dearly departed, I've started learning that I can start checking their pockets for change.
For currency, yeah. Okay. The original purpose of BTC was for small purchase transactions. The creator never intended BTC as act as gold. Yeah, he did. He wanted it to be all of these things. He wanted it to be a deflationary currency, something that will store value and that will actually go up in value as you hold it, as opposed to currency that is willy-nilly printed anytime they want to, that is inflationary. I'm just here because Clive is, okay. Imagine listening to Craig talk to you about your future after you've been sent to the principals for goofing off. Well, there you go. Some of these kids listen, though, Nero. I mean, some of these kids actually take instruction well and make wise decisions. Clive usually talks sense, and I like hearing him talk watches. This guy's a weirdo who likes the sound of his own voice. Well, there you go. Absolutely. Thomas Bennett, every time I hear the word Bitcoin, my head hurts more. There you go. Well, then why? Stop putting it in the chat, and I won't mention it. Here's somebody that says Bitcoin is not practical outside of investing. It will end like the tulip mania did in the Dutch. That's all. The tulip thing, that never really happened. That's folklore. There's no commodity behind Bitcoin. There's no commodity behind fiat dollars either, folks. I hate to tell you, it's no longer backed by gold. Bitcoin is backed by a very powerful computer network that has been doing its thing for 10 years without interruption and without fail. That's pretty impressive. But these people don't know anything. Let's see here. I'm guessing this guy has never heard of Wires or PayPal. That's Chip again, the troll guy. Yeah, Wires are expensive, as is PayPal. Bitcoin is pretty much instant. The last time I sent $3,000 worth of Bitcoin to somebody a couple weeks ago. It cost me 7 cents. 7 cents to send $3,000 worth of Bitcoin, and they got it in they got all the confirmations in 10 minutes. They got it right away, but they had 6 confirmations within 10 minutes. So that's pretty impressive. Clive's mother is yelling down the basement stairs, "Dinner's ready, son." I wish I had my mom making me dinner. My mom passed away, unfortunately.
Mine did in 2015.
Yeah. I mean, my mom could cook a dinner. I could tell you she could. The Chinese counterfeit $10 Casios.
Guys, let's leave Jim's family out of this, okay?
Here's another person that says, "Who is Craig Shipp and why am I watching this?" How can I tell you why you're watching this? I mean, the last thing I would be doing on a Saturday is watching this freaking show, and why you're watching it, I'll never know. I mean, I could never tell you that. I mean, you don't have a freaking life is probably the answer to that question.
Okay. Now, guys, if you quit typing now, there will be a live stream later. I promise you that, okay?
Yeah, and I'm going to end this show if you guys will just, and especially if you just, 30,000 subs and 70 viewers. That's correct, because most of my subs don't give a rat's rear end about watches.
Yep.
Thanks again for your time, Craig and Clive. Interesting live stream. What are you talking about? Looking forward to Clive's live stream later. Yeah, this is the guy trying to be polite. Hey, this live stream sucks, but we're going to watch Clive's later. That's great. Toyota Century is JDM only, big luxury sedan. Okay. Were the subs bought with Bitcoin? I'm serious. He'll keep talking if you guys keep typing. Clive, type that. Would you buy an 18-karat gold Grand Seiko Titan? LOL. One of the reasons why the Titan is so good is the titanium. So I don't know. I would buy a gold Grand Seiko if it was more like a Date 8 type of a style. The dollar is backed by $730 billion war machine. USA doesn't need gold anymore. I hope you're right, and I hope the dollar holds up, because I got a lot of dollars too, and I got a lot of stuff, investments in dollars and stocks and so on and so on. I hope all that stuff holds up. But just in case it doesn't, I'm hedged with Bitcoin. Well, Clive, we'll stop if there's a live stream later. Talk to death. Let's see. Great show, great fun. I'm getting mixed messages here. Clive should rename the channel to YouTube Daycare. Clive, you owe us one, mate. So you got to come up with a good show. I'm done. Great stream all. Okay, that's it. There you go. So they've got great expectations for your show, Clive. So there you go.
We'll see. I'll probably shave and da-da-da-da-da. This is what you get with 10 minutes notice. Sorry.
Yeah, well, no, you look fine. Okay, so I'm going to stop it, and you're a maybe for Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And you should experiment with, do you have any kind of an audio device, any kind of a lav mic or anything?
I've had a couple of people telling me I need to get one. Are we still in the air?
Oh, yeah, let me stop the live broadcast.